Hello there, welcome to podcast 31. Hello there, I hope your studying is going really well. I just wanted to quickly tell you about the other 27 podcasts that are available at IELTSPodcast.com. Click on the banner Get All Podcasts, and there you can see a massive list of basically 27 interviews with some of the best teachers around. Not only teachers, there's tutors and there's ex-IELTS examiners, because you can't do interviews with current IELTS examiners, it's not allowed. But we've got the next best thing, the ex-IELTS examiners, and they tell you from an examiner point of view what the students should have done, what they could have done, and what they must do to get the high scores. You'll also find podcasts by experienced tutors, or interviews with me, interviewing experienced tutors, and they explain how you can improve your writing, how to write the Task 2 essays, how to describe pie charts, how to describe graphs, how to improve your speaking, how to get confident for the speaking. There's an incredible amount of value, and it's not like a normal IELTS course where you just do lots of practice tests and they give you tips. This is like 30 different tutors giving the best advice. This is much more powerful, and lots of students, they've just written and said, thanks, I'm not frustrated anymore, I feel more confident, and yeah, it just makes the whole process easier. So go to IELTSPodcast.com and get all 27 podcasts. I highly recommend it. In this one, we're going to have a real detailed look at letters. Woo! We're going to look at the types of letters. We're going to look at a sample question. I'm going to share some advice on how to answer. I'll give you some tips. And then we're going to look at a model answer, or a detailed look of how to answer. Alright? So there's lots of tips in this one. Let's get started. Now, there's quite a few different types of letters you will be asked to write in the IELTS exam. For task 1, of course. 20 minutes, 150 words, more or less. These types could range from a complaint, an explanation, an apology, a request, an application, even a suggestion. This type of information is important because you need to determine the purpose of your letter, whether it's going to be what you're actually going to put there, what objective you have with the letter. Alright? You also need to determine if it's going to be formal or informal. That's quite easy. If it's going to be a manager or something official, it's going to be formal. If it says a friend, a neighbour, it's more likely to be informal. So, let's have a look at a sample question. Now, you recently bought a new computer for your flat, but it did not work. You phoned the shop, but no action was taken. Write a letter to the shop manager. In your letter, describe the problem with the computer, explain what happened when you phoned the shop, say what you would like the manager to do. Now, if you have a question like this, which are quite common, with the 3 bullet points, this is perfect because you can allocate a paragraph to each bullet point. In fact, you need to do that. So you're going to have a letter with 3 paragraphs. But the beauty of it is that there's no conclusion, there's no introduction. Well, there's a slight introduction, but the main point is you don't have to think that much about cohesive devices and all the rest of it. It's not as important as task 2. It is important, but not as important as task 2, because you've basically got the whole structure there. Okay? So, we have to make sure we're looking at the whole question. Keep referring to the question, okay, while we're answering it. So let's first have a look at the differences between formal and informal. Now, the type of letter, if it's formal, we'll probably say, Dear Sir or Madam, comma. Okay, if we have the surname, we would say, Dear Mr. Slathwaite, comma. Okay, if we've got the name, we'd use it, comma, new line, and then we would say, I'm writing to you in relation to, or I am contacting you in reference to. This is important. We have to say this because we're going to describe the motive of our letter. We're going to explain the reason why, because the reader has no idea. Okay, so I'm contacting you in relation to a computer I bought on Tuesday the 6th. Okay, now with formal letters there is a special type of language we can use. Okay, we don't say I'm sorry, we say I regret to inform you that. Okay, we do not say can you send me, because that's too direct. We would use modal verb and we'd say could you please send me. We're being polite, we're using please and thank yous, we're using modal verbs. We're not saying I want the report by Tuesday. No, we're saying I would like the report, if possible, by Tuesday. Okay? This is important. You lose marks if you're using inappropriate language. All right. So we don't use the contractions. We use the full version. I will arrive on the 6th, for example. I'm getting there on the 6th, because get is usually more formal. I'm is a contraction, and yes, it sounds more like conversational. So for the formal letters, no contractions, avoid phrasal verbs, use full versions of use to structure your sentences without contractions. Also, if you're talking about the future, use I will. Don't use I'm going to, especially for business letters. Okay, going to is used, sounds more conversational. Use I will. Okay, so here's a few phrases that you can memorize without any worry and use them in your letters. Okay, thank you for your letter regarding, or thank you for your telephone call regarding so and so. Okay, with reference to our telephone conversation yesterday. With reference to our telephone conversation yesterday, we could say, in addition, I would like to receive 3 new product samples. Yeah? We wouldn't say, and I want to receive. No, we'd say, in addition, I would like to receive. Okay? We wouldn't say, I'm sorry. We would say, we regret to inform you that. Okay? If it's a letter of an apology, if it's an apology, we would say, we regret to inform you that the product was late, blah, blah, blah. Once again, I apologize for any inconvenience. Don't be afraid of apologizing twice. We're English. We apologize a lot. So don't worry about that. Maybe at the beginning and at the end, just to express a bit of sincerity. Now, what else is important is learning how to end the letter. Once we've worked through the 3 bullet points, we would say, maybe if it was, if we'd asked for a request, we would say thank you in advance. Yeah. If we wrote a letter of complaint, we would say, I look forward to your response and a resolution to the problem. Yeah. I look forward to your response and a resolution to the problem. please contact me using the address provided. Okay, and yeah, so those are the types of endings that we could use. Then the formal endings, if it's a formal letter, we'd say yours faithfully, okay, or kind regards, best regards, depending. If you've written a letter of complaint, or if you've been quite harsh, personally I would use regards. Yeah, kind regards or best regards is maybe too friendly. At the end of the day, it's a formal letter and you're complaining, so you're not going to be wishing anybody kind regards. Okay, you're upset, so just put regards, and that's polite enough. Now, for the informal letter, pretty much the complete opposite. Almost, anyway. We're going to be using names. We're going to say, Dear Barry, Dear James. Okay? We're going to use a friendly greeting, if it is a friend, of course. Hope everything's going well. Thanks for ringing us. Yeah? Not thank you for ringing me. It's thank you for ringing us. Or thank you for ringing me. Thanks. Sorry. We would say the friendly greeting would be thanks for ringing me. The formal greeting would be thank you for your call the previous day. Okay? So we'd use the contraction, we'd use the short version, thanks. Say I'm delighted, I'm really happy. Okay? We could use direct questions. Do you remember? Have you bought it yet? Question mark. Yeah, we'd use the exclamation marks. And then for linking the actual letter, we'd use phrases like, anyway, if that's okay with you, I'll talk with Dave and I'll send it tomorrow. Okay? We'll use linking devices like, well, anyway, so, and, whereas in the formal letter we'd use, however, nevertheless, furthermore. Okay? Also, phrasal verbs are okay. Alright? Hope to see, let's see. It'll be great to meet up with you all at the weekend, for example. Meet up with. Okay? Now, to end your formal letter, your informal letter, we could put something like, I'm really looking forward to catching up with you. Really good. I'm really looking forward to catching up with the family. Send them a big hug. Yeah? One student put the other day, send a big hug to the cheeky monkey Freddy, for example. And cheeky monkey is a colloquial way to say just a little monster, a little kid who's got a reputation for being cheeky. You call him a cheeky monkey. That's not too bad, but just to play it safe, I wouldn't use phrases like that. I'd just say, send a big hug to your son. Okay? We don't want to step the line. This is a formal exam at the end of the day, so send a big hug, or send my love to the kids, something like that. Okay? I even heard of one student ending the letters with see you soon, you big baboon. That's definitely out of order. Don't ever do that. Okay? Some more tips. Even if it is a formal letter or an informal letter, don't forget to use varied grammar. Yeah, don't forget to use a variety of structures. Yeah, like that would be for the informal one. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm really pleased. Well, you know what I mean. All the different kinds of structures. Don't just write a list of short sentences, short simple sentences. Show the examiner what you could do. And of course, you probably know this by now, but remember to check the paper when you've finished. Spend a minute, go through, look for your personal errors, go through it all, and you can pick up some points. If you know you make mistakes with singular plural agreement, go looking for those, specifically for those, and go around putting the S on, taking the S off, and yeah, and you would definitely increase your points doing it that way. Now, let's look at a sample question and answer. Okay? I'm going to read the question the first time. We're going to do the dictogloss exercise. So the first time, I want you to just listen. Then when I finish, write down what you remember. Then the second time I read it, I want you to make notes while I read it. And at the end, attempt to reconstruct the letter, write it all out, send it to me, and I'll correct it for free. Okay? I'll correct about 1 a week. Okay? So send it as soon as possible, and I promise I will correct it. Okay? Let's get going. So, I'm going to use the question we looked at before. You recently bought a new computer for your flat, but it did not work. You phoned the shop, but no action was taken. Write a letter to the shop manager. In your letter, describe the problem with the computer. Explain what happened when you phoned the shop. Say what you would like the manager to do. Okay. Dear Sir or Madam, comma, new line. Dear Sir or Madam, I am contacting you in relation to my recent purchase of an Acer 3001 laptop from your shop. Upon buying the product, I was assured by the salesman that if there were any inconveniences, I would be promptly attended to. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Firstly, the computer screen failed to display in full colour. This was followed by repeated error messages, by which time the computer would usually freeze and crash. After an afternoon of trying to fix the problem, I called your helpline only to be placed in the queue for 10 minutes. Then the line would disconnect. After several calls to the premium priced line, I decided to contact you directly. Due to all of these problems, including the lack of customer service, I would like a full refund. I have already returned the laptop with the receipt and original packaging. Please transfer the funds into the account number supplied. Regards, Richard Martin. So, each paragraph there was dedicated to a bullet point. The first paragraph, 2 or 3 sentences, just an overview of what's happened and setting the stage. And then 3 paragraphs, each dedicated to a bullet point. Let's just go over that one more time. Okay? So hopefully you've made some notes. In this time, write your notes down while I'm actually speaking. Then try and reconstruct the letter afterwards. Alright? Let's start. Dear Sir or Madam, I am contacting you in relation to my recent purchase of an Acer 3001 laptop from your shop. Upon buying the product, I was assured by the salesman that if there were any inconveniences, I would be promptly attended to. Unfortunately, this was not the case. Firstly, the computer screen failed to display in full colour. This was followed by repeated error messages, by which time the computer would usually freeze and crash. After an hour of trying to fix the problem, I called your helpline only to be placed in a queue for 10 minutes. Then the line would disconnect. After several calls to the premium priced line, I decided to contact you directly. Due to all of these problems, including the lack of customer service, I would like a full refund. I have already returned the laptop with the receipt and original packaging. Please transfer the funds into the account number supplied. Regards, Richard Martin. Okay. Post your sample essay, post your sample letter onto the Facebook page, and I'll correct it, usually within a day or 2. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through it. Some points to consider. Formal letter, so I wrote Dear Sir or Madam. I wrote I'm contacting you to let the reader know the purpose, the objective of my letter. I set the situation upon buying the product. Notice as well I use formal language. I say upon buying the product. I didn't say when I got the product, no, or when I got the product, no. I use slightly more sophisticated language. Upon buying the product, I was assured by the salesman. So I also use the modal verbs. I use a range of grammar structures, by which time the computer would usually freeze and crash. Okay. Also, topic-specific vocabulary there. We're talking about a computer, and I'm using words computer screen, full color, freeze, crash. Also, in business, I'm using the special topic-specific vocabulary related to business, a premium priced line, helpline, a queue. Okay, words very related to the whole subject. Okay, and each paragraph follows the structure of the bullet point. Okay, the problem, freezing and crashing, the computer, error messages, what happened when you phoned the shop, I was disconnected, wasn't happy, waited in line for 10 minutes, and then what I'd like the manager to do. What I'd like him to do is transfer the funds. Everything's covered. The whole structure was supplied by the question. Then I ended my letter. Regards, Richard Martin. I could say kind regards, but in this sense I didn't feel it was appropriate. This is a letter of complaint. I'm not happy. Why am I going to wish him a kind regards? Okay, I just put regards, which is fine. Okay, you could also say yours faithfully, but regards is suitable. So, start writing. You can listen to podcasts and read tips on blogs forever, but unless you're writing, getting it corrected, no progress has been made. Simple as. Okay, and so get that letter written. No excuses. Free correction on the Facebook page if it's this letter. Eh? Okay. Take care and keep studying. Eventually you'll get it. All the best. Get it. All the best.